Welcome to World of Marketing Podcast, a Foster Web Marketing production. Here's your host, Tom Foster.
Hey everybody, it's Tom Foster in the World of Marketing, and here we are. Dun, 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 dun. We're up at the bridge, the Enterprise today, not down in the studio. And here I am with my good buddy, and I don't even know how many times you've been on the podcast now.
It was once before, a few months ago.
Everybody, ladies and gentlemen, the great Steve Richardson. Steve Richardson, thank you for coming, and thank you for joining me on the World of Marketing, my good friend. How are you today?
Doing well. Summer's officially over, so I'm a little bit bummed out because it's my favorite season, but it's my wife's favorite season, so she's happy.
Fall is your wife's favorite season?
Yeah, well, the spring and fall, you don't have extremes in
yours
temperature.
With hers, so it flows nicely.
Yep. There you go.
There you go. Well, listen, man. So let's talk about what you got going on, which is you're doing some coaching for lawyers, right? Helping these guys with the business.
I've been, like any other lawyer who's an entrepreneur, and wants to be successful, you got to learn this stuff, and constantly reading and learning. And I've been with you guys for the last 11 years with my website, but even before that, had a website, had that type of marketing, and I love doing it, and it's worked out very well for me, but it has been a bit of a struggle. I'm what they call these days, a true solo. I do have a couple of virtual assistants, solopreneur. Now, I do have people in the sense I have some virtual staff, so it isn't just me anymore. But what I wanted to do is just start helping other people, other solo attorneys that are going through this struggle. Yeah, right. Like me, that went and say, look, why go through what I did? Let me give you a head start by, pulling you up to where I am, by telling you, look, you don't have to figure this stuff out by yourself and take months and years to do it. I can help you through that. And that's why I wanted to teach other attorneys.
You got the treasure map. You have the treasure map.
Well, I certainly walked through the minefield already. So, you follow in my footsteps.
Exactly.
So that's why I wanted to start helping other mainly solo attorneys, because I am most familiar with that path and know to a great extent what they're going through and can help them the most. Although, other law firms or other professionals that do information-based marketing could benefit from this as well, but mainly solos right now.
And you just came out with a new book, or you're about to come out with a new book, right?
Yes, I'm very excited about that. It's coming out at the end of next month.
You can show your screen, please?
Yes, but for the folks at home that are listening, the title is Getting Off the Hamster Wheel.
Getting Off the Hamster Wheel, which is
transforming your law practice to make more money in less time through effective systems and marketing. And let me just share my screen for those that are watching the video.
Oh, here's Oliver.
So that's the cover.
Look at that. That's a great cover. I love it. Get off the hamster wheel.
And it's that feeling, so many solo attorneys, and they spend 60, 70, 80 hours a week working in the business, that they don't feel like they have the ability or the time to work on the business. And they feel that just things aren't really in control for them. It's very stressful, and it's a hamster wheel. You're constantly running on it. And the idea of this book is to help people to get control of their own time, keep other people from controlling it, get better control and handle over the work that they do, and get systems in place so they get the help they need to free up time, so they can get off that hamster wheel, so you can start thinking more strategically about your practice and be more intelligent about it, instead of being reactive to what happens, because you're constantly on this hamster wheel. You can be proactive and make some decisions and put together some strategies and tactics to be more intelligent about the way you practice law, and as a result, more profitable.
That sounds like a miracle worker. How can how can you help somebody do that? Like
Well,
what will they
main,
learn from this
the
book?
the first thing is, and the book starts out, Tommy, you really can't start doing this until you get real control over your time and your work. So the first chapter is about time management. There are a lot of ways in which time is basically stolen from us. I talk about this in the book, sort of referring to the Terry Gilliam movie, The Time Bandits. Okay. You have these time bandits. Dan Kennedy calls them time vampires, but these are the people that suck away your time, that gain control of your time, and you need to retake that time and spend it the way you want to spend it. And also getting into better systems for organizing the work that you do in your practice, the work that you do on your files. Every day, at the end of the day, I plan the next day. What am I going to work on the next day? And I'll go through all my files. Okay, what needs done? What's coming up? And I'll block out the time on the following day. And it is so much less stressful because you're not worried every time you go into the office, what's going to blow up today? What problem am I dealing with? You have complete control over your practice and what you're doing in that practice on your files. You know what has to be done. You know what's coming up, and you'll have the time to get it done. So that's the first big part of getting off the hamster wheel, is getting control of your time and you being the master of it and the master of what you do within your practice and the work that you do within your practice. And you'll find yourself, once you do that, once you start following the advice in the book, you'll find that you have more time and you can sit down and say, okay, let me sit back and look at what I'm doing. How am I doing intake? Am I getting good cases? Am I taking bad cases, bad clients, things like that? Is my marketing attracting the right people or the wrong people? And as you start operating your firm more intelligently and strategically, then you start being more profitable. You're getting better cases that are going to bring in more money. People are able to pay you, or good personal injury cases with good liability and good coverage, where you're going to have good money coming in. You're able to get good systems in place so that you're able to delegate a lot of the work that you don't have to do, that other people can do for you. And again, you get off that hamster wheel, you start acting more intelligently, and you start making more money while spending less time in the office.
Yep. And one of the ways, you said it a couple of times, one of the ways to get a better business as a law firm is the big word on the street, SEO, right? And let's talk a little bit about that. Let's talk about SEO and what you've been able to do using the systems as a one-man band. And because that's really what you're going to be teaching. That's really what you coach people, is how to be like you and how to set up all these systems that you set up. So how have you set up the system using time management where you take care of SEO and take care of getting, putting content out there? How do you do it all?
Well, it's about being strategic. I have a content calendar. I know I've got to put something on my website every week. I got to come out with a video, and what is it going to be? And I come up with a list of topics, and I map it out. And to some extent, I try to block out time on a Sunday for my week to come on what I'm going to do and what kind of content I'm going to write. And that makes this work more intentional, which is very important. You just don't throw content on your website because, hey, I got to keep feeding the beast. I got to have content. Tom tells me I got to have content, so I put it up there, but you got to be more strategic about it. You had asked me in the last time I was on the show what one of my biggest mistakes has been, and I gave an answer. But after the show, I started thinking about it, and I think one of my biggest mistakes was not really thinking about who I'm writing for. I mean, you can think about SEO and know what your keywords are, and you've got natural language writing, and you're writing for your audience, and you're putting your keywords in your headings, and you're coming up with good headlines and everything that Google will like. But why are you writing it? What happened to me, I wrote about 3 or 4 articles on New Jersey, what are called graduated driver's licenses. When you first a child starts, they get their learner's permit, then they get a temporary license, and then when they turn 18, they get a regular driver's license here in New Jersey. And there are certain limitations that are on those driver's licenses, things you can and can't do. And I had several articles, one on what are the restrictions on a learner's permit, one of the restrictions on a graduated driver's license, things like that. And those literally got thousands of visits every month, but I couldn't make any money from it. It didn't convert to somebody that had a problem. Every once in a while, it would be someone with a learner's permit who got a ticket. But for the most part, people were calling me instead of the motor vehicle commission to find out what the restrictions are. So I wasn't thinking about who my audience was and how this piece of content is going to get me a client. So I think that once you master SEO, which is very important, and I know you coach your clients in how to do that and writing good SEO.
Great example of, well, I mean, you made the effort, you wrote the article, which was informational and people found it, but and that's a good thing to do either way, to have that information out there. It was just the fact that you would be answering calls and taking time to answer questions for people, wasting your time because they're not going to turn into clients. And that's right. What you've got to, that's the lesson there. Although great job on providing good content for people.
It's good for them, but it's not good for me.
Right, exactly.
And you start looking at this.
And I hope everybody hears what he's talking about here, is that's really what SEO is you have to add content to your website that is optimized to be found for that search. If somebody is searching for information about the article that you're posting, then that's what it's all about, is that you want your article to come up when people do ask Google their question.
Right. And the SEO also goes not only to being found, but in who your ideal client is. Who's your ideal client?
It's so important for a lawyer. It's so important for a lawyer, like more important than so many other fields, because lawyer stuff is so specific. No matter what area of law they practice, people ask questions that are specific beyond the general SEO term, like New Jersey bankruptcy lawyer, New Jersey student loan lawyer, right? Like some things that you specialize and you niche in,
right?
And you've got how many articles do you have on your website, Steve?
I haven't looked recently, but at least 500 or 600. I know I've cut back, and I did a major weeding a while back on things that just weren't getting traffic, weren't working, things like that. And there was a bit of an overhaul, but hundreds and hundreds of FAQs and articles and everything else. I had someone contact recently that I consulted with on a bankruptcy who just said, man, I spent so much time just trying to read all your stuff before coming in to meet with you. He was kind of kidding me. I spent so much time and lost so much time just reading all this great content you have, because one article linked to the next. But you can actually use, if you have good clarity on who that good client is, who that avatar is, and the type of people you want to work with, you can actually use that to come up with keywords that will attract the cases and clients you want, and gently repel those that you don't.
Right.
If you're saying if you're a certified financial planner, for example, and you write an article saying, investment tips to grow $1 million portfolio to a $5 million portfolio. Well, you've just attracted people with $1 million portfolios and repelled those that don't. Well, this doesn't apply to me. I don't have $1 million portfolio. So the people that piece of content convert are the ones you're looking for. And that's what goes beyond SEO to really strategic content that's more likely to get you better clients and cases. And that also is what the book talks about, and how to gain clarity on that, and doing that in each of your practice areas or sub-practice areas. So you have a better idea of what type of content you should be writing, how you should be writing your headlines, calls to action, things like that.
So all of this is a lot of work, and somebody's got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And here you are talking about you're a solo guy, you're doing it all yourself, but it sounds very much like you're totally on the hamster wheel. So
well, that's where the next part of the book comes in, Tom, and it's a nice segue.
Yeah,
Chapter 2 is on the importance of systems.
Right.
Okay. If you don't have, if your business can't function, if you're not there, then you don't have a business, you have a job. Okay. So attorneys like me, let's face it, we're control freaks. We feel that we're the only ones that can do this stuff. And if you really look at what you do throughout the day, if you have the right systems and you have the right people, there's all sorts of things that you can delegate to someone else, and they're working on it. And whether you're in the office or not, whether you're necessarily meeting with clients or not, that the work still gets done. And by delegating that out to staff, you become more profitable because their time in a dollar sense is less than yours. Okay. If you've got a $50 an hour paralegal doing it rather than your $300 an hour time, then that's more profitable, frees up time for you to do these other things. And even then, if you get to the point where you can hire and train a marketing manager, someone to do that once you get that system in place. Because once you create these systems, have a user's manual or an owner's manual for your practice, then it's easier to onboard people. It's easier to train people in doing what you're doing, so you can ultimately transition away from this work. So you start up freeing up the time. You then create the systems to make more efficient use of that time. And then that makes it easier to delegate those things to someone else to give you even more time. So yes, that's what gets you off the hamster wheel when you gain that time and have those systems.
And so you have been able to outsource all of your functions that you're doing in your law firm right now, so that you're able to not be on the right.
To not be on the hamster wheel. Yes, I mean there are more and more now, and especially with cloud technology and some of these platforms. My bankruptcy practice, for example, I have an assistant that handles a lot of the day-to-day stuff, communicates with the client, gets the documents in, organizes the documents, prepares the petition in the software, so that I'm just have to review it. And it takes a lot less time to review something than to do all of that work. So I'm able to start offloading and delegating a lot of this because I've created these systems.
Well, that's awesome, dude. I mean, like, I'm always amazed at your ability, and you run a great practice. You've been able to build a great practice, and you've shared how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Your new book, Getting Off the Hamster Wheel. Now, when is this coming out?
End of next month. You and I will be at the for those listeners out there that may be members of Great Legal Marketing. They have the summit there, and the idea is to have those books available by then. So it's coming out in the next month.
And so if somebody wants to get it, how can they get it right now?
They can certainly email me at steve@stephenjrichardsson.com. And I can mail you a copy as soon as it comes out, as soon as I get copies. It's not in print yet, so I can't send it, but
I want the first copy hot off the press, signed, sealed, and delivered. So
okay. You will get it as soon as it's in my hands.
Sounds good, buddy. Well, everybody, that's my good buddy, Steve Richardson, with his new book, Getting Off the Hamster Wheel, on how to, I'm telling you, man, this guy knows how to do it. This guy knows how to all by himself. He's got all these things in place. It's all run by software that he's set up, all in the cloud, so he can be anywhere. And he's got business happening. He takes the clients that he wants. He doesn't work with clients he doesn't want to. He's got the perfect practice for him. And if you're like him, if you're a solopreneur and are looking to do this through systems, he's the guy to talk to, Steve Richardson. All right, buddy. Thank you so much for your time today.
All right.
You all take care. God bless.
You too.